One speech, one bullet, and a moment so strange it sounds fictional. But it happened. This is the true story of the president who survived an assassination attempt for the most unlikely reason imaginable, because his speech was too long. It was October 14th, 1912, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Theodore Roosevelt was about to step onto a stage and speak to a roaring crowd. He was no longer president, but he was running again, determined to reclaim the White House in one of the most brutal political races America had ever seen. Roosevelt had already lived like a man who refused to die, quietly. He'd been shot once before in war, caught diseases in jungles, survived crashes and hunts, challenged death so many times that danger had become his shadow. And that night, danger finally caught up. As he stepped out of his car, a man in the crowd raised a revolver and fired. The sound cracked through the evening air. The bullet tore into Roosevelt's chest. People screamed. Men lunged at the shooter. Blood began to spread through Roosevelt's shirt. By every rule of fate, the story should have ended right there. But it didn't, because something unbelievable happened. Roosevelt didn't fall. He didn't collapse. He didn't even panic. Instead, he stood still and felt his chest. Then he smiled. Not because he wasn't hurt, but because he realized something impossible. The bullet had slowed. It hadn't gone deep, and the reason why was folded neatly in his breast pocket. Inside his jacket was a thick 50-page speech, carefully folded, dense with words, packed tight against his chest, and behind it, a steel eyeglass case. The bullet had struck both, not stopping, but losing enough force to save his life. Doctors would later confirm it. If Roosevelt hadn't carried that speech, the bullet would have gone straight through his heart. The man survived because he talked too much. But this is where the story takes a turn so shocking you'd swear it was fiction. Roosevelt refused to go to the hospital. Blood was seeping through his shirt. A bullet was still lodged in his chest. And yet, he walked on stage. The crowd gasped when they saw him. Shirt stained red, face pale, voice steady. And then, the man who had just been shot gave the speech anyway. He looked out at the audience and said, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose." And for the next 90 minutes, he spoke with a bullet in his chest, telling the crowd his ideas, his fire, his vision, refusing to let an assassin steal his voice. Only after he finished, only after the final word, did he finally accept medical help. And even then, the doctors did something strange. They left the bullet inside him. Removing it would have done more damage than keeping it. And so Theodore Roosevelt lived the rest of his life with a bullet in his body, a reminder, a scar, a symbol that death tried and failed. He would eventually lose the election. But the moment he stood alive with a gunshot wound and delivered that speech, he won something greater than office. He became legend. So when people talk about powerful speeches, they're usually talking about emotion, persuasion, inspiration. But in Roosevelt's case, a speech did something else entirely. It became a shield, a wall, a miracle, paper and metal, beating lead and fate. And that's the strange truth of history. Sometimes survival doesn't come from armor. It comes from accident, from chance, from the absurd, from a man who simply refused to stop speaking, even when the world tried to silence him. If you enjoyed this unbelievable true story, subscribe for more moments where history feels unreal. Because sometimes, the difference between life and death is a single page too many.